My sister had an affair with my boyfriend and then played the cancer card. Am I the jerk for cutting ties with her? Here's the backstory. My dad married my stepsister's mom when I was 4, and she was 3, so we've been raised together, and I've always considered her family. We were incredibly close. When she was 14, she was diagnosed with cancer and battled it for about 2 years, during which my parents became understandably protective. They leaned heavily on me during that time. I dropped my extracurriculars to work and helped pay her medical bills, and I made sure to drive her to her appointments. All my fun activities had to include her. I even missed out on things like dances. Most of this was my choice. Except for the basketball team, I definitely had a moment or two over that one, but was quickly reminded of my responsibilities. Anyway, I go off to college, meet my ex, let's call him Ben, during my junior year, and we fall head over heels. We move in together after graduation and have spent the last 3 years in a committed relationship. Then, in July, I came home to find him in bed with my sister. Heartbroken, I ended things, tears all around, and he moved out. At first, my sister apologized, but then she suddenly changed her tune. Last week, she reached out and asked to meet. Over coffee, she dropped the bomb she and Ben were in love and wanted to inform me before hitting social media with it. Feeling crushed, I left her sitting there and didn't pay for my share of the bill. Then she Venmo'd me for the money. She later told our parents, who summoned me to their place to express their disappointment in my reaction. They even suggested that since she had cancer as a teen, she never picked up proper social skills and now struggles with relationships. I don't believe that, especially since I've seen her socialize just fine. Then my parents threatened to go no contact if I didn't accept her relationship with Ben. I reminded them I'm their daughter too, but they insist this is about me being jealous of her. I'm not jealous. It's painful that she chose him over me, knowing we had a serious thing going, and now she's still with him, despite the hurt it caused. Now, my family isn't talking to me, and I've been bombarded with messages from relatives calling me an awful person. Edit. Thank you all for your thoughtful comments. This has blown up more than I anticipated. I truly appreciate it, even if I can't respond to everyone. I've reflected a lot since this all started. While I've had my moments of resentment about my teenage years, I've always felt I did right by my sister and family, even if that time had its challenges. I was very close to her, and we made great memories despite the struggles. I didn't think of it as my parents neglecting their responsibilities, which some of you have pointed out. I really do have a lot to think over. Thanks again for helping me feel less alone in this. Update: you have to laugh sometimes. Just got off the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could clarify some things. I asked him why he was spending time on Reddit. Instead of answering, he flipped the question back at me, asking why I was on Reddit instead of working. I conceded, touch. He then told me that after my chat with my mom, she visited his house to talk to my aunt. And here's the kicker: my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben, but she's also 4 months pregnant. So clearly she and Ben have been intimate far longer than I had suspected. My parents are pushing me to forgive her because, apparently, I'm ruining their experience of their first grandchild. That's right, I'm less significant than my stepmom posting ultrasounds on Facebook. This is where we stand. Anyway, I called in sick for the rest of the day and planned to drown my sorrows in a serious amount of alcohol. Like a lot. Then I'll figure out what the hell I'm going to do next. Update: am I the jerk for not accepting my sister's relationship with my ex, even though she had cancer as a teenager? October 6th, 2021. People asked for updates, so here I am. A couple of things to clarify. I didn't have a terrible childhood, but favoritism kicked in after my sister's diagnosis. I moved out soon after and became pretty independent. Not claiming my parents were perfect then, but I wasn't living the life of Cinderella. I didn't drink my problems away, I just had 2 white wine spritzers. Thanks for the concern though. So the update: I reached out to my sister and suggested we meet up at a park, no expenses involved. I asked if she was pregnant, and she confirmed it. She expressed a desire for us to stay in each other's lives, including me being part of her baby's life. One Redditor speculated she might ask me to be the godmother, and they were spot on. But as many pointed out, if I didn't distance myself, I'd risk just becoming her financial support and babysitter. So I made the tough call to step away from her life. I left her sobbing on a park bench and felt terrible about it. I sent an email to my parents, expressing my feelings of betrayal and my intention to cut off contact. To her credit, my stepmom apologized, admitting her emotions got the better of her because she never thought my sister would have kids. Totally understandable. But my dad remained silent through all of this, which honestly hurt the most. Ben attempted to reach out to me from a burner account, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go public with the story on Facebook like some suggested, but I did send an email to the extended family members I care about, explaining my decision to distance myself. Some have turned it into an us vs. them situation, and while I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in a battle just drains me more. I haven't been talking much to my family, and though I feel lonely and down, I think I did the right thing. Not the most thrilling update, but at least you all know I'm still here. I genuinely appreciate the support. It brought a smile during a rough time. And hey, if anyone in the greater Boston area wants to have me over for Thanksgiving, hit me up. Update November 24th, 2021. A few folks wanted to know what I'm up to. So here's the scoop: I'm spending Thanksgiving with a friend and her family. I won't be alone. And I'm thankful to everyone who offered to host me. That was incredibly kind. Still no contact with my family, but I've learned that Ben and my sister are having issues. He even showed up at my place and broke down for 3 hours. Planning a trip to New Mexico in April is in the works. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate. Since I found out about the pregnancy, he's reached out to me 6 times via email, text, and even burner accounts. He's tried to get mutual friends to speak to me for him, and once showed up at my place. That was the only time I engaged with him. He said he was sorry, that he loved me, and didn't want to be with my stepsister, wanting to get back together with me. I told him tough luck. He made his bed. And now he has to lie in it with her. I've not dated much since July because my life fell apart, but in November, an old college friend, whom I'll call X2, contacted me out of the blue. We hadn't spoken in ages, but I remembered he was friends with X1 until a falling out over some fantasy football drama after graduation, so I'd stopped talking to him out of loyalty. We went on a date, felt a spark, went on a few more, and became exclusive in early December. I was really hopeful about us until this morning. I was supposed to meet X2 at a New Year's party last night. He texted me just before I left home, saying X1 was at the party and asking if I still wanted to come. I declined and opted to have a good time at another friend's house instead. I tried calling X2 at midnight, but he didn't answer. I went to bed late. And when I woke up this morning, I found a message from X2 saying we were done. He blocked me everywhere, so I couldn't even respond. I spoke to a friend who was at the party, and he mentioned that X1 and X2 spent a good chunk of time chatting, but he didn't know what they talked about. I don't have close connections with anyone else there, so my options are limited. Okay, it was just a 2-month relationship, and while I'm sad, I'm not devastated. But the paranoid side of me worries X1 influenced X2's decision to break things off. X2 has made it crystal clear he doesn't want to talk to me again, and I respect that boundary, but I'm so confused. I could reach out to X1, but that could invite a whirlwind of drama. I could also ask other mutual friends what they know, but I hate the idea of spreading rumors if it's not the case. I really don't know what to do. I'm spiraling, feeling like my ex will try to sabotage every relationship I have forever. I'm starting to think there's something wrong with me. January 16th, 2022. My last 2 partners have cheated on me. The first was a serious relationship. We lived together and discussed marriage and buying a house. He even photoshopped pictures of us as kids together to fantasize about what our future kids might look like. The result was both terrifying and hilarious. I even kept it as my phone background for a month. Then I walked in on him sleeping with my stepsister. Now she's pregnant and due soon, while he's with her. I know he's not happy and surely regrets his actions. A few months ago, someone new entered my life, and for the first time in ages, I felt a spark of hope. I began to think that maybe moving on and truly living my life was within reach. While I wasn't in love with him, he was the kind of man I could see myself falling for. We went exclusive for about a month, and before we made that decision, I opened up to him about everything that had happened with my first ex. I made it clear that I could never be with another cheater. But then, on New Year's Day, I woke up to a text that said we were done. When I tried to reach out, I discovered he'd blocked me everywhere. It turned out he met someone at a New Year's party and hooked up with her. Instead of having an honest conversation, he just cut me off and sent someone else to deliver a half-hearted apology weeks later. I want to be furious, and part of me is, but as I sit here, I'm left with these unsettling thoughts. What if it's me? What if I'm unlovable? What if I never find someone? Generally, I've been a confident person. I've weathered a lot of storms in my childhood and emerged stronger. I consider myself pretty attractive, even though I've put on a little weight recently. People have called me fun. I have a stable job, and I earn a decent income. I strive to live by my values, always prioritizing family and partners, believing that care should be reciprocated. Yet most of my family has drifted away, choosing my stepsister's baby over me. As for my friends, they can be pretty fair weather, and deep down, I feel like a punchline within my own circle, despite their fake pity. The spark I used to have is dimming. I don't engage in conversations like I used to. I've stopped dressing up when I go out. I avoid planning anything to sidestep disappointment. Soon, I'll reach the age my mom was when she passed away. I never got to know her, but I've always felt a connection, imagining her watching over me. I don't remember the details of her funeral, but I know it was the kind where everyone cried. People say she lit up any room she walked into and was a genuinely good person. In my darkest moments, I wonder what it would feel like if I vanished right now. Would anyone shed a tear? Would anyone care enough to come? Anyway, sorry for pouring my heart out like this. I'm just lost and unsure who to turn to. If you've read this far, thank you. Update-ish May 30th, 2022. Hey everyone. I thought the internet would forget about this in a few days, so I'm surprised to still receive requests for updates. In short, I don't have much to report. I didn't end up going to New Mexico because I conveniently caught COVID the week before I was set to go. The baby was born, but I've had no contact with them or their parents. I've managed to shield myself from news about them and the rest of my family. My life is pretty much on the same track, so apologies to anyone hoping for a happy ending to this saga. Things are steadily improving because time really has a way of dulling pain if given enough distance. But I haven't had any grand epiphanies, met the one, or concocted elaborate revenge on those who hurt me. However, I am going to Europe for the first time in October, so that's something to look forward to. And while I appreciate the support and sometimes colorful words about my sister and Ben in my DMs, I truly encourage everyone not to waste their energy hating them. They're now parents to a newborn, and despite past transgressions, I hope they can create a loving, healthy family for their child. Hating them really doesn't help anyone, including ourselves, in the long run. So here's the latest non-update update. I promise that if I bump into the love of my life at the top of the Eiffel Tower, or more likely, while indulging in waffles in Bruges, I'll share the details. In the meantime, just know that I'm living my life, doing my best, and deeply grateful to everyone who has followed this journey and reached out with support, even if I haven't found the energy to respond to everyone. October 16th, 2022. Hey there. Just a quick brighter update. I'm currently lounging in my hotel room in Paris, diving into a romance novel and getting ready for an early night. Everything's looking good. It's been a minute. I still get messages from folks checking on me, and since I'm up a bit too early and feeling a little bored, I thought I'd give you an update. I'm doing great. I've made a ton of positive changes in my life, and I'm in a much healthier place, both physically and mentally, than I was last year. Here are some specific answers to your questions. No, I'm not in contact with my family anymore. The last straw was in spring 2022. My dad sent me an email suggesting we meet for lunch to talk. Having always held on to the faint hope of reconciling and going back to normal, I reluctantly agreed. I waited for 2 hours at the restaurant before my server, with a sympathetic look, offered me a free dessert. That was my cue to head home. Afterward, I received an email from my stepmom, likely filled with excuses, but I didn't bother to read it. On the bright side, that experience made me realize I needed to move far away and never look back. And that's exactly what I did. I used to be terrified of moving away from family, but now that I don't have one anymore, I made a somewhat spontaneous move halfway across the country. It was stressful and costly, but honestly, it turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life. I reconnected with an old friend and fell in with her friend group, who are the absolute sweetest people. I've never felt safer or more supported. I'm seriously lucky to have them in my life. And did I mention the weather? Less humidity, huge win. One of my friends is a counselor who found me a therapist I genuinely connect with. It took a few tries, especially with one therapist who wanted to dive straight into cognitive behavioral therapy, which just wasn't my thing, but I finally found someone who resonates with me. I'm doing internal family systems therapy now, and it's revolutionized my relationship with myself. I'm uncovering old hurt and beginning to heal. So here's to all of you who encouraged me to seek therapy. Give yourselves a round of applause. I also got diagnosed with depression and started medication for it. That realization hit hard for someone who's always prided herself on being the happy caretaker. Turns out, when your needs go unmet as a kid, you often become that happy person because you're terrified that showing even a hint of unhappiness will cost you love, and that's just unfair. And guess what? I met a guy. I know what you're thinking. No, you can't trust your judgment with men. But trust me, he's different. Instead of rolling his eyes when I'm feeling down, he'll either chill quietly on the couch with me or suggest a walk. Sometimes he even makes me laugh uncontrollably with his spot on Kermit the Frog impressions whenever I need a lift. Bonus, he's way too absorbed in painting D&D minis to even think about cheating, so that's one worry off my plate. Oh, and I did invest in a pretty elaborate Renaissance fair costume, which I never saw coming, but I'm loving every minute of it. Honestly, I can see myself marrying this guy someday. Regarding Ben and my sister, as far as I know, they're still together. Occasionally she reaches out through some kind of burner account, but I just brush it off. I'm genuinely bummed about not being part of my siblings' life, and I miss my family a lot, but I believe this is the right path for me. I wish I had some juicy gossip to share, especially since I know you all might be curious about their dramatic downfall. But on my end, things are looking up better than they did when I uncovered the cheating. My current life is anchored in true contentment rather than a facade of happiness fueled by fear. It's not without its issues, and I'm tackling a lot, but I'm proud of how far I've come, and I think my mom would be too. So that's my update. This will probably be my last post on this account. Huge thanks to Reddit for being a source of support and laughter during some of the most challenging and bizarre moments in my life. I hope you all find amazing internet strangers to uplift you and plot against those who don't deserve your time.
Did you hear? Apparently, Madison's been tagging random influencers in her Instagram stories, pretending they're friends, just so people think she's famous.